Right, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe and healthy right now. Excuse, if you're looking at me right now and be like, damn, this guy's got a red face right now. Back on the handstand grind, doing my handstands, so obviously, like, as my skin is pretty sensitive as it is, it's like the blood vessels, the rush going to the head and the skull. As you're doing your handstands is obviously why my head and my face looks pretty red right now. So just FYI, and obviously if you haven't been watching my videos over the last couple of weeks, obviously got a COVID-19 trim as well. Credit to mum once again. So anyway, as the title of this video suggests, we're going to do our 25 Q&A. And so obviously before we go into it, I do want to just say thank you very much for reaching another milestone. I mean, we only hit 20k like January, I think. So obviously, you know, things are picking up a lot of momentum, right? And it's pretty crazy to see not only how far we've come since starting JG Calisthenics, but also, you know, the whole journey since I already started my first fitness page when I was around 17. All right, and actually had an old YouTube channel, right? And if you are an OG and you were actually aware of my old YouTube channel, comment down below, and I'm gonna give you a massive virtual hug, all right, for the support, right? Because honestly, like, that YouTube channel posted consistently like 3 times a week for a year. It's more of a gym-based account when I wasn't actually into calisthenics at the time. We had like less than 300 subscribers in like a year, and honestly with JG Calisthenics, after that, we gained 10,000 subscribers in a year, and obviously doubled that, and now everything's picking up momentum from here. So obviously, you know, thank you, because obviously from, you know, me all these years, right, putting out my passion and sharing my knowledge and expertise, I guess you could say, over the years, obviously the trial and error I went through before to discover calisthenics, and obviously expressing my true passion for calisthenics and that, and obviously your continuous support is obviously why I'm able to do what I do. And yeah, just want to say you are the OG, all right? Appreciate you, right? So let me just see. So got some questions, right? And I'm gonna be answering the ones with like the most likes by them, if that makes sense. So first question I have here is, I want to be fit but not gain much body weight because I play squash and tennis. What's your suggestion? Okay, now that's a very good suggestion. Not suggestion, that's a very good question, right? So obviously I understand with sports, I was there myself. I gained like 12 pounds in 12 weeks when I gained a lot of size, right, in the past, but athletic wise, I was like an immobile slug. Right, I was a lot stronger, but it didn't really matter because anyone could like run past me. Most people could run past me because like, I just lost so much of my speed, right? So I'd say for the most part, you don't necessarily have to go like a huge bulk to build muscle. In fact, you know, I myself with calisthenics, and obviously as I've seen and shown with client testimonials and such, obviously a lot of clients being able to build a lot of lean muscle without necessarily having to go into a calorie surplus. Obviously, I'm assuming as you're probably very active, if you're playing squash and tennis, you're probably a pretty active guy, right? Or woman, right? I haven't actually checked the name of the username, right? But I mean, for the most part, I'd say obviously you're probably gonna have to eat a bit more because you're so active, but you don't necessarily have to gain a lot of weight to build muscle, right? I think for the most part, just eat for health, listen to your appetite, and you know, if you're eating enough food to the point where you're getting stronger, you're feeling awesome, and you know, you feel good all round, then there's no need to try and increase the calories or whatever. I think from an athletic standpoint, right, again, I don't know where you're at right now, but I'd say for the most part, I'd say eat based on your appetite. I think that's probably the best way to go for athletes, in a way in which you can get stronger without actually compromising your athletic performance, right? Will you try a vegan challenge for 30 days? Or if that's too hard, will you watch the Game Watchers and let us know your thoughts? Now, the vegan challenge, I don't really plan to. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going vegan. That I have a huge respect for people who do go vegan and such, but obviously it's like nutrition's very flexible. Different things work for different people, so I think the same way, it's like anything. It's like if you follow one style of nutrition, it's not a case of like, this is the best, everything else is garbage, right? And it's not just people on vegan, it's also people on ketogenic diets and that, who have like commented on my YouTube videos and be like, why aren't you following this specific diet? It's like, you don't have to eat ways in which other people want you to eat. You just got to do what you want to do, right? So do I plan on doing it? Probably not. Maybe in the future, I don't know. I have watched the Game Changers, right? I was actually recommended to that film specifically by a subscriber, right? Ferris, if you watch this, man, you're an OG, all right? And yeah, I watched it. It was very interesting. It was very, very interesting. My viewpoint on the game changers did change quite a bit when there was actually some like rumors that leaked with some of the studies actually being biased towards like, I think there was one study with, it was like the athletes and the like the colors of like the certain liquids and that from the people who did like plant-based or like meat and such. Basically there was apparently that some of the studies in the film was biased towards the vegan diet, right? Which makes sense because I think in my opinion, I think Game Changer, it is quite one-sided with the whole vegan approach. It's basically a case of just everything good about vegan and everything bad about a meat-based diet, whereas obviously there's good things about meat-based diets and there's also some downsides to vegan diets as well. So I think it's like anything. Films got to do what they got to do. They got to make their money. They got to get their exposure. That's all cool by me. I'm just saying, you always got to have an open mind and realize that there are pros and cons to everything. That's all I'm going to say. Right? That's all I'm going to say. Nothing wrong with vegans. Nothing wrong with going vegan. It's just not something that sparks my interest. So, when and how to train static skill training? During rest days, before my workout, or after? Anyway, to keep it a good work. Now, when I was working with Phil Chubb from Mindful Mover, I have recently parted ways with him to focus on new things with a new coach who you guys may be aware of elsewhere in the YouTube community. But basically, with the likes of skill training, I don't think it requires so much specificity to the point where obviously it's like, I don't know, doing it on a rest day is like, dude, you need to rest, right? If you're doing skill training on a rest day and then you're doing workouts on a workout day, it's like, when's the rest part, right? You grow during rest, man. So I think the best part to get stronger in skills, I'm not sure what skill you're referring to specifically, but I'd say for the most part, it's best to actually do it in your make it a part of your actual workout. I think, like I said, for me, I achieved like the tuck planche and the advanced tuck planche with my coach without directly doing static holds. It was literally just a case of dynamic work and getting stronger for a 4-range of motion without doing statics, right? I'd say for the most part, obviously, when it comes to strength, obviously as skill exercises in calisthenics are very neurologically dependent, right? It requires a lot of neurological strength. So obviously, if you are to do any skills, whether it's if it's less strength based like a handstand, or if it's more strength based like a planche, whether it's a static hold or like a tuck planche push or that, obviously you want to do it at the start of the workout when you're fresh in order to gain strength effectively. It's like all skills, I'm not sure what skills you're referring to specifically, but strength is a skill, right? And I'd say, if anything, if you are doing any skills, whether it's a handstand that's more balance based or like straight arm exercise like planche or front lever, then honestly it's best to do it towards the start of your workout, right? Next question, what body weight or even resistance band exercise can I do in order to increase strength in order to pull-ups, right? So I'm not a big fan of band pull-ups, right? I don't have any clients using bands for assisted pull-ups. Only downside to using assistance for bands is obviously, we know now with a pull-up, the hardest is at the top. The hardest portion of the pull-up is at the top, and the easiest is at the bottom. Whereas because of the strength curve of the band, right, it gives you less assistance at the top and more assistance at the bottom, which is like the complete opposite of what you want, right? You want more assistance when you need it, like at the top, and less assistance when you don't need it so much at the bottom, right? And also it's less consistent of the assistance. So the amount of strength you're going to gain in the 4-range of motion is going to be limited because the amount of assistance you get through the 4-range of motion depends, right? That's why whether you've watched previous videos on this YouTube channel or you're even a client myself, right, and you're following one of the programs on my app, then you'll know that we do like assisted chin-ups, assisted pull-ups, and even like mechanical advantage, assisted chin-ups and pull-ups. So that way it's actually easier to track and scale because the assistance, like, it stays consistent, right? And you can actually, it's much easier to overload it from there to get stronger in the pull-up itself. So, I hope that answers your question. And to your knowledge, what role does hypertrophy play in strength training? As I understand it, just because you're doing hypertrophy training doesn't necessarily mean you're doing strength training. Any clarification on this? So at the end of the day, hypertrophy training is strength training, all right? Strength training is resistance training. And obviously, if we want to train for hypertrophy, it requires resistance. And resistance comes from strength training. So I see what you mean, right? What role does hypertrophy play in strength training? So really, it depends how the strength of the muscle's gained. Obviously, when it comes to building strength, we actually need muscle mass to get stronger, right? Also, if we want to focus on strength, then obviously that comes from building the central nervous system, the neurological system, right? Whereas if we want to build muscle and hypertrophy, it requires more of building the physiological system, right? More like the muscles, as I said. So obviously, with that said, you can't actually have one without the other. It's very hard to get strong without added muscle, and it's very hard to add muscle without any increase in strength. In fact, myself, I actually hit a plateau very recently, and actually contributed to a bit of my golfer's elbow issue, because I was so strong relative to my body weight, where I actually began to plateau in the bodyweight strength exercise I was progressing in, because I didn't actually have the muscle mass to support the strength gains. With that said, it depends. The whole saying is obviously like a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. I'd say that's not necessarily the case. I'd say a bigger muscle has the ability to be a stronger muscle. Training for strength is all about recruiting your muscle fibers, right? Maximally recruiting your muscle fibers. Whereas obviously adding muscle mass means you've got larger surface area of that muscle mass, right? So obviously, if you've got a larger surface area of muscle mass and you've got more muscle fibers, then it's easier for your central nervous system to recruit more muscle fibers at a higher intensity to then actually push or pull more force, right? So as I said, you do need like some added muscle mass long term to actually build strength. So that's the role that hypertrophy training has in strength training. But again, there's many ways to train hypertrophy, muscle hypertrophy. There's many ways to build muscles. So I'd say if you do want your muscle hypertrophy to have a carryover in strength, then you got to make sure that the hypertrophy training is based on the law of progressive overload, of getting stronger, right? And the last question we've got here is, I'd be interested to know your opinion on alcohol with regards to nutrition. Now, that's a good question, because obviously, you know, the majority of my clients who, you know, are within, let's say, I don't know, as early as like early 20s and then like all the way up to like 50 and such, or even 60. Obviously, you know, some clients don't have any alcohol whatsoever, and that's cool. But for those who do want to drink, and honestly, it's a case of just doing it in moderation, you know. Obviously, drinking alcohol in excess amounts isn't healthy. I think it's just a case of moderation, you know. It's like if I have a client who, you know, spends time with family or friends like once or twice a week, maybe the weekends and such, and they fancy like a pint or two or maybe like anything else, then it's like, sure, you know, that's cool. If you want to do that, you can do that. It's just a case of just having it in moderation rather than like going over, right? Because obviously if you drink so much to the point where, you know, you're hungover every week or whatever, then obviously that can impact your health, and obviously impacts, you know, the progress you're making in your health and fitness as a whole, right? So it's all about moderation, right? Again, I think with fitness and health, we don't need to approach it like a short-term diet and such. It's a case of like approaching it as a lifestyle, right? You can eat and drink, you know, your favorite stuff. It's just a case of doing it in moderation so you can actually remain healthy and always feel good, rather than like, you know, always being hungover and feeling like absolute garbage, right? So it's all about moderation. That's the key with nutrition. It's just, you know, we can't define balance exactly, but it's just a case of moderation. It's much easier to stick to it that way, right? If we approach any type of nutrition where we're either on one extreme or the other, it's unsustainable, because we always go from one to the other. Whereas if we just have some moderation, just enjoy ourselves, right? It's much easier to remain consistent with it, and that's the key with nutrition. It's finding something you enjoy that you can remain consistent with, because that's how you remain healthy, fit, and, you know, able to sustain this for longevity as well, which is obviously what we're all here for, right? We want to do this in the long term, right? So that's my take on that, and I hope that answers your question. So yeah, I believe that's everything covered. Again, thank you for the questions. I really appreciate it, and thank you for, you know, being on board the Gainster Express and being a part of yet another milestone, right? So honestly, who knows? When it comes to 50k, I don't know. We may do a giveaway or another Q&A. We'll see, right? But regardless, if you enjoyed this video and, you know, maybe you feel like you actually would, you know, actually benefit more from like specific structure and guidance and accountability to achieve your goals, as opposed to just researching endlessly online and not actually finding the answers you want. And of course, that's where I do provide online coaching for my clients to actually help you, you know, build the body you've always wanted at home, especially at this point in time, without having to go to an overcrowded gym, right? So if that is something you'd be interested in, then you can by all means click the link in the first link in the description below, or I'll probably link, you know, my website www.jdcalisthenics.co.uk here on the screen at the bottom for you to learn more. And yeah, we can set up a call, see what motivates you, what excites you, what you're really looking for, and we can see if we are a great fit to work together, right? So with that said, if you enjoyed this video, you like my content, you enjoyed watching every single minute and every single second of this video, make sure to give this video a cheeky thumbs up. If you are watching this video though, and you know, well, by that icon where it says subscribe or subscribe, like if it still says subscribe, right, and you haven't subscribed, I've got no idea what you're doing, my friend. You know, really, you've got to subscribe to the channel now and turn on post notifications, because I upload new videos every Monday and Thursday, specifically for people like you, my friend, who want to build muscle, lose fat, increase flexibility and mobility, and all round, you know, just have a good, fit, healthy, all-round physique, right? That's what this channel is all about, right? So yeah, I believe that's everything covered. So yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, especially if you come all the way from the start to the end. You're the OG, and I will see you in the next video. Keep moving forward. Peace.